It is the end of the year. Thank fuck. And with that, it is time for our annual Games I Did/Didn't Play of the Year. 2020 itself probably could have been put in a top 10 worst years of all time category, although probably World War I and II beat it out quite a bit, in my opinion. Although, that being said, if we're going with individual years or a yearly time span, no, unless we're going with because it's just 2020 we're categorizing. 2020 would be an individual year, so the World Wars probably wouldn't count unless we picked up very specific. I'm getting in the weeds right now. If you do or don't know, this is an annual little video I do to celebrate the games I didn't play, but I really wanted to, and the games I did play, and were hella badass. Little rules, of course. They have to be games, well, for the games I did play, they had to be games I played this year. No holdovers from last year, no continuing stuff. There's a few caveats in there somewhere. I don't remember. It's been a very long time since I've done these lists. So there are probably rules I am breaking. For the didn't play category, it's just games I didn't play that kind of came out this year, and I'm like, oh, I really want to play that. But I can't, because I either didn't get it or don't have the console to play it in. So, yeah. Now you're familiar with the rules, let us begin. Also, there are honorable mentions that are in between the two lists, so get ready for those as well. Let's start off with the games I didn't get to play this year. These were the games I really, really wanted to play, but couldn't. Simple as that. Number 4 on the list. Yes, we have some pretty short lists this year. You should see the Did I Play section. Ooh, that's really short. Number 4, impromptu pitch, because I didn't write this down, it was just right now I realized I really wanted to play this, Animal Crossing New Horizons. I really, really considered getting a Switch this year. Like most people, probably, when Animal Crossing came out, and also because that's when everything went to shit. Animal Crossing I played on the GameCube originally, and never again, because I didn't have the DS versions to do that with. But when I was playing on the GameCube, the first Animal Crossing, I really liked it. It was a life sim style, kind of go at your own pace kind of thing. And that was really nice. But, you stop doing that after a year or so, and now I'm scared to look at my save game file. Probably a lot of weeds and people. It's a ghost town. It's probably a ghost town, and that's a real darn shame. But with Animal Crossing New Horizons, I can make an all-new ghost town. Literally, you can probably make a themed island that is a ghost town with very specific inhabitants. That's what got me the most, not the inhabitants, the theming of the islands, and an island you had full control over. It was a very interesting thought that a game about socializing helped us through a time where you couldn't socialize. And that's where I think Animal Crossing New Horizons lost in the Game Awards. They should have had like a very special honorable mention for that. I really do. That and Among Us, but I never played Among Us. So basically, Animal Crossing New Horizons was an escape for pretty much everyone this year, but I wanted it because it was a reminiscent nostalgia escape. As if you have played Animal Crossing, it's pretty damn simple. You make a house on an island, and not the original, on this, you make a house on an island and you personalize it all to hell. That was the game. You lived your life, and it was great. Now, with an island you can personalize, there's just so much tiny things you can do. And for someone who likes design in that kind of tiny way, New Horizons really, really spoke to me. Unfortunately, I don't have a Switch. I may want to get one someday. Maybe I'll get one of those cheap Switches. They're like $20. I saw an ad for something like that. I'm gonna have to look that up, but that would do it for me. Moving on now to the non-impromptu list, and the one I actually wrote down, we move on to the third spot, and that is, unsurprisingly, Demon's Souls, the remake. Holy shit, that game is beautiful. It's almost speechlessly beautiful. Almost. I have a little bit of speech, but not much. It is obviously the predecessor to all Dark Souls games and Bloodborne and Sekiro and all the other kind of Souls-like games out there that I really, really enjoy. So obviously I'm going to want to play that game. But the original game is stuck on old hardware and really, really dated, in a sense. Mechanically, no. It is spick and span, and it is a wonderful game to play, I assume. But having the remake look that good and so goddamn polished, keeping the old good and bad, and just, here, have it now, and it looks really, really good. It's like a junker getting a complete stripped makeover and being turned into a Porsche. It's not something that happens, but we're happy it does. Even though I'm not a car person, and this analogy probably goes nowhere. I love the Souls series, and if I ever get a chance to play the remake of Demon's Souls, I will be so happy. This actually goes into the whole PS debacle in my head, where I think to myself, I'm a PS5. I remember last time when the console generation started anew, when the PS4 came out, I really wanted a PS4. Never got it, obviously, because I haven't played Bloodborne yet. But I really, really wanted a PS4. And I think now that the PS5 is out, I really want a PS5. Like, that is I like the look of the PS5. Yes, it's a little weird, but I like that. It looks like a gaming console. There's a gaming console energy that emits from it. Sure, the Xbox new X whatever series is nice. I actually like that design too, but there's something that draws my eye to the PS5. And the fact that a launch title is the remake, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff you could do with that probably would be... It would probably be Switch, PS5, upgrading PC, although upgrading PC would be... This is going on to a different tangent altogether. Let's just wrap that up and say Demon's Souls Remake looks amazing, and that is something I want my hands on all the time. Second on the list is, also probably not a surprise, Baldur's Gate 3. The studio who gave me Divinity Original Sin and Original Sin 2. You know I'm going to play them. You just know it, okay? It was the same thing why I played Divinity Original Sin 2. It's the same, but better. And hopefully it also doesn't last 4 years. Actually, Original Sin 2 lasted way shorter than the first Original Sin, which made me really, really happy. That was last year. Oh god, that was last year. It didn't feel like last year. Oh, fuck. Anyway, Baldur's Gate is a D&D game, specifically. I think it was a hybrid from taking the pen and paper game to a video game. And I'm all for that. I am personally a Pathfinder player. You've probably seen some of the video series I've done where I DM my friends in like little one-shots and whatnot. More may be coming of that stuff next year. Ooh. But Baldur's Gate 3 is coming out, and I thought, okay, if it's like Divinity, and it's a lot RPG-ish and pen and paper kind of thing. And from what I've seen, it's going very faithful with mechanics, but skewing it for a video gamey sense, although it is still in early access, so we're not touching it until it's done, because apparently it's a mess. It is right up my alley. And I already, as soon as I saw footage of it, I was like, I know exactly what kind of character I'm doing. I know exactly what kind of storyline I'm going to pull off. It's going to be amazing, and you're going to love it, because I'm going a completely different direction, and I cannot wait. It is just those little minutia details of the turn-based combat, but also mechanics I'm familiar with, but not really, because D&D and Pathfinder are a little bit different. A lot of it different. And the game itself just looks like something I could dive in and completely win me over. It is up my alley so much. I am so excited to play that game when it is out of early access, because that is when I'm going to wait for it. Because, like I said, there's kind of a few bugs in it right now. Finally, for the games I did not play this year but really wanted to, it's kind of a holdover from last year, I believe. I actually didn't look at last year's video to remind myself of what I had and hadn't talked about. So that might be why some of these overlap, if they do. So I was lazy. Fuck it. But number one actually comes back on the number one spot because it was a little bit different. It's Gears Tactics. Now, I may have talked about this last year because I think it came out last year. No, it did come out last year. Okay. Gears Tactics is a turn-based strategy game, kind of like XCOM. Actually, a whole lot like XCOM, but set in the Gears universe. Gears of War, specifically. I don't know if there's any other kind of Gears. Maybe Clockwork, but not Gears. That was a stupid joke. Gears Tactics looks really good to me for two very distinct reasons. One, it's a turn-based strategy game with permadeathy elements and stuff like that. It's XCOM, but different, which is where the second part comes in, where it's a lot more energetic, a lot more things happen between your turns. The whole Overwatch mechanic of certain spots, granted, is a Phoenix Point thing, but I don't know, Phoenix Point doesn't really grab me as much as Gears did. And then you get to shoot a whole bunch of stuff if you have the ammo for it. And then there's big enemies, and then there's objectives and levels, and it makes me want to play it because it's different, but also the same. Kind of what most people like to do. It looks really, really good, and I almost got to play it. So, this year, for the winter sale, literally last week and whatnot, I bought it, right? Pretty much top 5 on my top wish list games. I got it, installed it, took like a couple hours, it's fine. Set it up, sat down, I was like, alright, this will kind of be a fuzzy bit for my games I didn't play, because I would have played it before I made the list, but I kind of was going to fudge the numbers a tiny bit. But then I booted it up, and it didn't boot up. Tried again. And again. Very confused. So I look up some stuff, and it's saying, oh yeah, it's probably got to do with your antivirus software, something. And, oh yeah, no, it's because it runs on Windows 10. What now? It's just a Windows... I run still on Windows 7. This is where the confusion lay. Because I never upgraded. Didn't really want to, honestly. Slightly biting me in the ass now, because Splunky had that same issue. Oh well. But, yeah, no, I almost got to play Gears Tactics this year, but I did not. Which makes me want to play it even more now, because it's like forbidden fruit and whatnot. That would have been really, really fun. I would have streamed the hell out of that. That's for end of the year video to talk about streaming and whatnot. Either way, that has been the games I did not play. Let's move on to the next portion of this list. Honorable mentions. We actually have a lot of honorable mentions this year because they just didn't make it to best of or didn't play. Plus also, some of them are slight carryovers from last year, or I haven't finished playing. You'll understand in a minute with the game I'm honorably mentioning as Control. I'm still playing it on the channel. If you're watching it, I'm having a good time. But there is a very interesting line in the sand that I'm having to cross, because while I am enjoying it, there's just something in the back of my mind that is making me not enjoy it. Be it maybe the gunplay? No, it's good, but the combat in general, maybe. Maybe it's because this is more of a game that shouldn't be Let's Played. You should probably just do it on your own, sink into the universe. That could possibly be what it is, too. That's probably... Actually, it is kind of the problem I had with Sekiro, just slightly. But we'll get into that later. Ooh, spoilers. But no, Control, I think, is an amazing game. It is... Its world is intriguing, and it grabs me because I'm one of those people that loved Warehouse 13. I liked the librarians. Movies were actually really good, except the first one. That was just... and the TV show was pretty good. I love those kinds of hidden world, underneath the surface types of universes. Then, of course, you have the visuals. Holy shit! The visuals of Control are amazing. Mind spinning, head round, turn and turn, the geometric inconsistencies. It's amazing. And I think I need more time with it, and also I haven't beaten it. I think once I have beaten it, I'll have a much more better understanding of my feelings and stuff towards it, which is why it's an honorable mentions, because I can't really say it's a game I enjoyed, but I do enjoy it. It's in a foggy area, but probably next year it will make top something or other. Plus, with their slight hidden announcement of Alan Wake's next game, I may have fallen in love just slightly. Honorable mention number 2 is Noida. I believe I talked about it last year. I'm pretty damn sure. I even had it in my top games list of games I did play, because it was, at that state, really, really good. And now that it's out of early access and it had a couple more updates after that, it's even better than really, really good. It is fantastic. I love the world. I love the wand crafting and the mixing of spells, and just there's an innate lore. It's a little Souls-like, where there is lore, but you really have to dig for it. Like, there's hints and pieces, but like, oh no, the roof literally collapsed on me, now I have to start again. If you haven't played Noida, or you were on the fence about it back then, go get it now. It is superb. It is really fun. It's more of a wandering creative game rather than a roguelike. It has that roguelike progression of, I found new shit on my wands, it's now in my library, oh, I've reached a new level, rinse, repeat. But then there's also the aspect of, wait, what if I go in this direction instead? And you can. Oh, I've gone that direction, but the wand I have started with isn't great. Okay, well, how about I now go down the mine shaft, get a couple good wands, maybe another level or two down, go back up, and then explore that again. Or even go the other way. It's really, really cool. The world is more open than you think it is, even though they say, hey, go this way. What if I don't? No, I'm not going that way. I want to go to the giant cow skull in the desert. There's a giant cow skull. Well, I think it's a cow skull. There's a giant skull in the desert. And I mean giant. Like Godzilla-level giant. It's really, really cool. And that's one of the games that I keep replaying over and over. I've actually been streaming some of that too. But, you know, let's talk about streaming again in the next usual video, shall we? Speaking of things I talked about last year, I believe in my list I also talked about Stone Shard, probably in the didn't play section, although I did play the demo, so I don't really remember off the top of my head. Again, memory's not so good this year for most people. But anyway, Stone Shard is a turn-based medieval questing game that is super fucking difficult. It came out in early access, and I immediately jumped on it. Streamed a little bit of it. It is so in-depth, yet I barely scratched the surface because I kept getting killed. It is a game that is brutal, but rewarding at the same time. I think as things get more balanced, as more things get added into it, it's going to be one of those games that, like, you spend so long into. It definitely, for me, at least. And with its themes of questing through Middle Age fantasy Europe? It's always Europe somewhere. Somehow. I really, really like it. I stopped playing it for the moment, I think after the Troll Hunter update came out, because I really think that if I keep piecemealing it, I'm gonna wear a little thin. So I am waiting fully until it comes out 100% out of early access, maybe a few more updates after that. But I'm going to wait until that game is done, because I think the experience of having everything in the package at once is going to be a better experience for me to play rather than little increments here and there, which is why I stopped streaming when the updates started more coming out. But it is probably going to also end up on my top games list of next year if it does come out next year. But it's... that is a good game, and if you like that kind of stuff, it is one to definitely watch and check out. Finally, last honorable mention I'm going to mention today in this video is the brand new Binding of Isaac DLC. Of course I'm going to get it. Of course I'm going to play it. I have more than 500 hours in that goddamn game, and that's not even including the original version, which is like probably over 200 hours. Of course I'm getting it, and I've seen some of the updates, and I'm amazed at some of the items. I'm scared of some of the things and enemies that are going to be in it, and I know I'm going to probably sink another 400 to 500 hours into that game when that comes out. Hell, I might even start a new save file just to make sure it's all together and not weird when I boot it up my usual save. I don't know. All I know is that game is going to take over my life, and I'm going to love it entirely. Okay, now that we've done with that, let's move on to the actual list that matters the most. The games I did play. These were the games of this year, slightly, and we'll talk about it, don't worry, that I played and absolutely adored. I played a lot of games this year, actually. Mostly retreads of old ones. I even re-downloaded Dark Souls 3 because I wanted to compare some things with Sekiro when I finished that Let's Play. Again, spoilers, moving on. But this year, it's also a very short list. Probably more to do with the fact that none of the games really grabbed me whole. Like, there were some really good games that I played, not even on the honorable mentions list, right? If I was going to expand the list, I probably could fill a top 10, but it wouldn't be as genuine. I like to think that my top 10s, or my top lists, I point to the list like you can see it, are genuine enjoyment-filled talking points. And when those kinds of talking points don't exist, but I still liked the game, I'd rather cut it out and put something in its place rather than kind of half-ass it. Kind of like kind of like Borderlands 3. Okay? Got Borderlands 3, I played it. I really liked it. I have problems with it, though. That's for a different discussion, unless you watched my Twitch stream of that, which in the last video of that archived is my breakdown of the game on what I did and didn't like. But more on that in the next video of my wrap-up stuff, because there's a lot to talk about. Anyway, moving on, let's start with the third on the list. Yes, again, it's a short list. So, number 3 is a conglomeration of games, but I think in general it's a one spot, because they're all lots of little games and a couple bigger games, but because they're under the same umbrella of genre and title, I'm counting it as one for the series. It's Rusty Lake. Well, not obviously, probably, but Rusty Lake, the series, is at my games I did play number 3 spot. It was a very interesting little experiment that I did. Well, less of an experiment, more of a continuation of an experiment, because, you know, back when I first started the channel, I played Steppenwolf, and I did Arcane, and I tried doing a couple other things, like in that genre, where there were Flash games in a series of games. And when Cube Escape and the Rusty Lake games came out, and I really did enjoy playing them, I thought, okay, I can do that same thing again, but mixing the browser-based with the actual games, and so on and so forth, going chronological of game, you know, coming out, releaseness, that's the word, release. But in general, as the whole Rusty Lake genre experience, it's goddamn phenomenal. Like, so unless you've really played these games or watched someone play them, you don't really get a feel for how genuinely interesting the concept is. These are small games spread across an entire timeline of events that all interconnect, and each one makes a new discovery, maybe answering a few questions, but asking so many more. It's an amazing feat, and I don't know any other game that pulled that off. Especially, you know, big blockbuster games that are one and done big things. Sure, you can have little series, but Rusty Lake and Cube Escape stuff did it small, and then they grew, and then they grew, and as their popularity grew, the mystery grew, and like, what the hell is going to happen next? If I had to pick one out of all the games I played, not including the Flash or browser-based stuff, because technically Flash, it's more HTML now, and look, I made a video about it, don't worry. If I had to choose one game for you to play, it would be Paradox. But I think the enjoyment of that game came from not just the fact that it was really fun, point-and-click puzzle game, it was the fact that it had built up over so many games. I don't know what it would be like if someone literally just was given Paradox and say, play this. What would their enjoyment be? Would it be the same as mine, or would they have had to experience everything up to that? Could they do it in different orders? Could they do it not chronologically of release, but chronologically of time? Because there is a chart that tracks the time. But then that would be really difficult, because then later on, when more games come out, you'd have to slot them in with the other time periods. Which, speaking of which, there is apparently coming out another one, and I will be playing it for the series. That series ain't done. It's just on hiatus until the next one comes. But it's such an interesting idea. And I wouldn't say it's a gimmick, but it's a world that you want to know more of and are a little scared to do. So if you're kind of interested in that mystery stuff, mostly point-and-click puzzle games, mind you, but if you're interested in that worldly mystery and trying to put puzzle pieces together in your brain about order of operations of life and whatnot, go check them out, because, you know, it's amazing. And if you haven't watched my series, good, because then you'll get an even blinder experience going in for yourself, and if you get stuck on something, then you can check my stuff out. So, hear me out on this, because I had to fudge a couple numbers here. technically, not really fudging the numbers, to put this game in, because I had to put this game in. Like, holy shit. So, when I did last year's top games I didn't play, did it, loved it, wonderful, passed me by, whatever. Then the winter sale, did stuff, because obviously you pre-record the stuff you're going to put out the week before in order to have it ready and edited and whatnot, even though today I'm doing it Monday, and tomorrow is... No, Wednesday is the day. Oh, wait, no, that's why I should have... fuck, I shouldn't have put Control out today. Fuck. I screwed up my own time schedule. Oh, you're seeing this in real time. Oh, shit. Okay, well, besides all that point. So, the video happened, put it out the week after. After I had recorded that video, I got some games on the winter sale, I had a little extra cash, and I picked up this game. I played it and fell so head over heels for it. And even now, practically a year later, to almost the day, I still remember it so vividly and so joyfully, even though it is such a bleak game. I loved it so much. And to have a game have that kind of staying power with you, because it wasn't just from there to now. No, in between the months and year that this happened, I thought to myself, remember Dark Devotion? Oh my god, that was such a great game. Oh my god. Month or two passed. You know what? I kind of want to play Dark Devotion again. Oh yeah, no, let's do that. You know what? I want to do that. Never did, but but every so often I remembered Dark Devotion. Number 2 spot here. Okay? So, let's explain what it is. Because I streamed it just a little bit, probably early on in the year in January, praising it and saying how do people not know about this game? Because it is so good. It is a Souls-like Metroidvania roguelike. Light, probably, because you have to unlock some stuff. And the premise is you're a Paladin, Templar, I think Templar, and you go into this place, and you're supposed to, clear out the place of evil and whatnot. Or are you? Ooh, mystery entails. And you go in, you play the character, and you die, and then you resurrect, and then you go through the map, you die, repeat. Souls-like, right? Okay. Part 1 done. Part 2, the world and the Metroidvania bit. So this game isn't free roaming like some Metroidvania games. It is sectioned off in a straight choose your own adventure kind of line. So you got your one area, and you can go, okay, we'll go in the up direction first because I haven't unlocked all the other shortcuts for the second area. So we go up, alright. Oh, there's the mid-boss. Got it. Oh, it killed me. Alright, back to the front again. Alright. Oh, but I got some soul points, or whatever points, energy. I found some hidden shit, so I can upgrade myself, get some new abilities, get some new weapons, and then I keep going again. So it is an incremental roguelike. There's where that comes in. You gain more stuff as you play the game more, and you get better at it. You do it. Okay, end of the area. Here's the boss. Holy shit, that first boss is really cool. Like, holy shit. Okay, boss didn't kill. Back to the start. And rinse, repeat for section after section. There's only 3. But here's what grabbed me first. Alright? First and foremost, atmosphere. Wholeheartedly recommend you playing pretty semi-loudly with good headphones on. Alright? That game is nothing but atmosphere. It drips with atmosphere, along with the blood and the viscera. It is so gothic. And it makes you feel isolated. And when you see an enemy, it's like, oh shit, there's someone else. I have to kill it. The theming is great. The bosses and mini-bosses are absolutely just... I don't think I've seen some of those things before. There's a boss, specifically in Area 2. There's a mid-boss that is so odd. and yet it fits so well with the theming of this game. It's just chef kiss and all. And then as you progress, you get to the lowest level, and you unlock shortcuts along the way, you find new items, you get upgrades, there's a hell of a bunch of story that you can find. Like, holy shit, it's some deep gothic shit. And you go through all of this, and I've yet to beat the game, because that final boss is, well, it's a fucking god, so it's really difficult to beat, but you go through the game, and it's taken me about 20 hours. That is a very small amount of time compared to other Souls-like stuff and roguelite stuff, but that didn't feel cheap. It was so well put together. The animations, the art style, it could have been my top one of the year, and I only played it at the beginning of the year. It is that good. If you are anything like me and love your Souls stuff, but also like that deep, dark atmosphere and just kind of going through a world, finding your own way, because the level traversing, like I said, it's a Metroidvania, but it's kind of a one-way street Metroidvania, and once you understand the map, then you understand more about it. It's just so very, very good. It's excellent. And I would say if you have the ability to, go check it out. Go buy it. I think it's on the Switch. I'm like 80% sure I saw an announcement saying it was on the Switch. So if you get it for the Switch, do. It's an amazing purchase for that. But no, Dark Devotion so deserves this spot. Oh my god. The number one spot. It just could have been Dark Devotion, but it was beaten out kind of a pretty big sliver of a way, and you're probably not surprised about what I'm going to say. The top spot of the game I did play this year was Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. Now, two things to mention before we actually get on talking about Sekiro. Number one is, the series is still technically going on. And I beat that game months ago. I've already got the highlight reel sorted and everything. It's just ready to go whenever everything's finished. Oh, that game was a journey. That game was such a journey. At the end of Sekiro, this is the second part here. At the end of Sekiro, I believe I said, that I need more time with the game. I enjoyed it, but there was a hell of a curve. There was a learning curve that almost made me stop playing the game. And then I did some off camera stuff, and did that, and I got a little bit better, and I kept going. Fuck that first ogre. Fuck it. And I kept going. It's okay, now I'm getting the hang of this. And then towards the end, it's oh, I'm good at this game now. There is something to be said about a game that teaches you fundamentals without you realizing it. I think the only one other that I believe comes to my mind would be The Witness. But that teaches you in a different way, but kind of the same level of, you're learning these little tiny rules, and towards the end of everything, you put all those rules together and do something amazing. That's what Sekiro pulled off. And I think that's why I needed more time with it, because after I had beaten the game for the videos, I went back in it, started a completely different save file, and about half the time of the first entire playthrough, I think the playthrough went 40 hours. That's unedited stuff, because the file said that's what it was. Edited, it's less, but that was 40 hours of gameplay. The new file took about 20 hours to complete, and I just flew right past everything. It was stunning. It was amazing to me that it was like, oh, this guy. Ting, ting, ting. Oh, you're dead? How the fuck are you? You took me hundreds of tries. Not literally, but like tens of hundreds of tries to beat. And I just one-shot you the first time I came back to you. A Souls game doesn't do that. It is a Dark Souls game, because I compared this to Dark Souls 3 in my wrap-up. A Dark Souls 3 is more along the lines of bashing yourself into a brick wall and then learning where the cracks of that wall came from after bashing into it and then using those to get through the wall. Sekiro, you have a wall, and it's a pretty big fucking wall. Like, holy shit. But you don't go through, you don't bash your head in the wall. You watch the wall, and you wait, and you observe it. And then after a minute, or longer, you see that there's a brick. Specifically that one little brick right there. You take the brick out, wall falls down, you keep moving forward. I have no idea if this analogy sticks with anything here. I could be completely wrong, and I probably am. But that's what I think I feel like when I play Sekiro. And like I said a little earlier in the video, I re-downloaded Dark Souls 3 because after I'd beaten it twice, hell, I even started going through New Game Plus and was like, oh yeah, no, I'm feeling it. There's a groove in this. I felt it, and it was good. So I thought to myself, okay, let's go back to a Dark Souls game, because I had them very neck and neck in my wrap-up. It's like, there's Dark Souls, and there's Sekiro, and different. No, Sekiro definitely beats Dark Souls for me. But there are some different variations and reasons for that, because Dark Souls, it doesn't feel clunky. It is Dark Souls 3. It is absolutely wonderful, one of my favorite games of all times now. And it still holds up even after you play Sekiro. So that is one thing I was really worried about. I had to relearn the buttons just slightly, but same concept all around. But as I'm doing it, and playing it, and I'm going through the bosses, I'm going through the fights, and I think to myself, this isn't... There's a flashiness that's not there, but it's not because it's not flashy, it's because the skill level is different. It's really hard to explain unless you've played both a Dark Souls game and Sekiro. Hell, even Bloodborne, I'm assuming, but Bloodborne has its own little eccentricities that I'm, someday going to play, hopefully. Sekiro, I think the main specific thing for me that Sekiro did so beautifully was the parry system. Not like a Dark Souls parry system, but the sword deflection parry system. It's the deflect thing. Because my playstyle definitely came towards, I just deflect everything and do all that. But in that, there was a flow. There was a flow to the game of, okay, I know that enemy, dodge, hit, parry, red dot stab, right? Okay. And there was a good river of flow. I don't know. But when I jumped back into Dark Souls, there wasn't necessarily that same kind of flow. It wasn't really a flow at all. It was blocky. And while I think because Dark Souls has that more open character creation thing, that has its own place to your enjoyment. Like, I want to go strength build, I want to go dex, I want to go magic. Okay, you do that in this game. Sekiro is Sekiro. That's who you're playing as, and that's who you need to get used to. And once you do get used to that, holy shit, the game just flows. I'm saying flow so much time. Let's move on to the actual talk about the game here and say that its world is amazing. I really do like the universe that Sekiro lives in. I do believe it is, I really hope actually, it is separated from the Souls and Bloodborne genre, even the Demon Souls stuff. I think it's its own little in-universe thing. And the world is great, the enemies and the motivations behind everyone, and just the combat. That is the big takeaway of Sekiro. The combat is the game. And if you click with it, you go so far. But that first few couple hours really jaded me. And by the time I had finished the game, that jaded heart of, is this really good, stuck. But as going with the second playthrough, and I'll even the third slightly, I realized that no, Sekiro is a magnum opus for FromSoft. It is so good. I've been waiting, I don't think I should anymore, but I've been waiting to stream Sekiro on Twitch when I do that stuff, when I do Twitch streaming. Because now that I know what to do and what to expect, I think it can be a little bit more interesting. Sekiro Blind, I don't think was the best choice of video to do. That being said, it was still really wonderful, and I hope you do enjoy the series. But there were some rough parts. Like, holy shit, the beginning was rough. And then there's a couple bits in the middle, but towards the end, it was an interesting play through, and it was a hell of a game. And I think the emotional journey it took me through, and the entire gameplay and game itself, fully, I have no shadow of a doubt now, it is and deserves the #1 spot for the games I did play this year. That was the list. Both games I did and didn't play of 2020. They might have been shorter, but the games on them still really, really good. To summarize, because yay, let's summarize again. We had in the didn't list, number 4, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Little Town Builder. What's not to like about that? Number 3, Demon's Souls Remake. It's just more Dark Souls, but the progenitor of it looks so fucking good. Number 2, Baldur's Gate 3. I'm gonna play a fucking character in that, don't you worry. I got my ideas. And number 1, Gears Tactics. Damn you, Windows 10! For the games I did play, though, it was, at number 3, Rusty Lake. That is an amazing puzzle game series, and I cannot wait for the next one in the said series. Number 2, Dark Devotion. Go get Dark Devotion. I mean, I know Sekiro is number 1 on this list, but, come on. It's Dark Devotion. Go get Dark Devotion. Alright? And number 1 is, aforementioned, Sekiro. Holy shit, that game is amazing, and the journey I took through it was... I cried. I fucking cried in that game. Not in video. You will never see that. Actually, I talk about it in the end of the series, the final episode. That was a fucking great game. So, hopefully you enjoyed this video, be it as long as it was, and maybe, I don't know, you want to play those games? I hope you do. There's a good list, even though it was so short, even with the honorable mentions. Hey, I said it right. Yeah. Thank you for watching. If you are subscribed, thank you. If you aren't subscribed, please subscribe. I do all sorts of weird shit. Favorite, follow me on Twitter, because that's for streaming stuff and release of video things. You can tell it's the end of the video because I'm tired now. Yeah, no, that's the end of the video. Done.